Good morning again, everyone. Thank you for being here. We are Birch Community Services, the consultants for this organization out of Gresham, Oregon. That's Rebekah Hurley. This is Sam Lee, and I'm Westley Coleman. Let's get started. So, Birch Community Services, come on, here we go. Here we go. Okay, thank you. So, 25 years ago, a small bag of bread was donated on the porch of Barry and Suzanne Birch's home. They redistributed that small bag of bread to a family in need in their community, and soon food banks and other food pantries kept donating food, and they would keep and store the food in their front entryway and continue to resupply it out into the community, eventually supplying it out of their own garage. And that was the birth of Birch Community Services. 25 years later today, 25 years later today, they are now servicing their community in a 22,000 square foot warehouse. Today they've graduated 8,000 families from their program, teaching families how to be financially literate while providing a discount on groceries for them. This is an incredibly successful program. In 2016 alone, they served 3,100 people. They redistributed 10 million pounds of product to families. And lastly, they have 797 families in their program. So it's very big, very successful. They've done a lot of transformation of their community. And this is due to the fact of their unique business model that they have. And it makes them sustainable as a in the food bank business, essentially, although they're not a food bank. So they have incredible sustainability for this type of business, and they've received no government funding since their origin in 1992. So to explain what this unique business model is, we have Sam Lee.
Thank you, Wesley. Now, Birch Community Services, one of their strengths overall is this unique business model that Wesley just mentioned. What Birch Community Services seeks to do is serve the working middle class. This is a class that works full-time hours, and yet they still can't fully support their family during these hard times. But at this point, they make more than is required for food stamps. That disqualifies them from that. So, Birch Community Services product. Families who join this program pay $70 a month to come shop for clothing, for food, and even work boots at no extra charge. This helps them to support their family to get that level of living that is a little bit more comfortable. But the real focus of Birch Community Services is the education. Families who join the program are required to attend one financial literacy course. This helps them to learn how to be financially responsible with their current income, and overall graduate from the program later on knowing how to be financially free and responsible. Now, these families also are required to volunteer twice a month in the Birch warehouse. This allows them to give back while building community. And when you put all these together, you get the essence of Birch Community Services, helping families to keep their dignity while giving them a hand up instead of a handout. Now, Rebekah is going to talk about the main product, the replication seminar.
Thank you, Sam. The replication seminar is the main focus of our entire project. So what this back in 2011, due to their success with the unique business model in their day-to-day operations, Birch received national recognition on NBC Nightly News. People responded by asking them how they could create their own similar model in their community. Birch took a step back and responded and created this replication seminar. So the replication seminar itself is a 2.5-day comprehensive seminar in which speakers come and attendees are able to learn the ins and outs of what it takes to have their own similar model. In addition to the 2.5-day seminar, attendees are given this massive 6-inch binder that is filled with all the information that is covered in the seminar. In looking at their approach to the seminar, we found 3 main problems that are contributing to the main issues with this seminar. And the first of those issues is marketing. Currently, Birch doesn't specifically market their seminar. Rather, they send out specific invites via mail as well as phone calls in hopes that their attendees will respond positively. As a team, we called potential attendees from the bases of food banks, churches, and university sustainability programs to gauge their interest in this seminar and try to build a customer profile. Rather than finding a concise customer profile, we found 4 main responses. The first of those, who is Birch? Upon talking to them about who Birch is, as well as explaining the seminar, we asked if they would be interested in attending the seminar and found 3 main responses. The first one was a simple, nope, but thank you for your time. The second one was, yes, but I wouldn't pay. And the third one was, yes, but I would only pay $10. As a team, we got together to discuss these responses, and we found that this approach was too impersonal. We also found that it didn't solve any of the lack of marketing problem, and we decided altogether it was too sterile. Most importantly, however, we realized that the story was missing from the entire marketing aspect, which, if you recall, is how the replication seminar came to be about. To discuss the next problem, Westley Coleman.
Thank you. So the replication seminar, after the direct marketing methods that Birch employs, Birch is hoping that they come to this replication seminar, which is a 21-hour comprehensive seminar. And the issues with this seminar, well, first, the value of this seminar is incredible. The value outweighs Birch's investment in the seminar for the replicators. As you can see, it's very timely. It's very time costly. It's 21 hours. They have speakers come in, Birch's employees come in, and that's the bulk of the cost, is this extra time of payment for all kinds of speakers to come in and explain how to replicate, lawyers, grant writers. So, and again, it's a step-by-step, this is how you replicate, and that is where Birch has been attempting to get the revenue stream from, is this seminar. And so here is okay, excuse me. We're going to be all right. Okay. So here's the seminar revenue cost comparison since 2012. And if you look at the red, that is the expenses or the costs of the seminar every year. And then the white is the revenue margin. And as you can see, it hasn't been good. And since its origin in 2012, Birch has lost $38,462. Now, this might sound daunting and intimidating, but the reality is Birch is incredibly successful. This is just a small blip in their overall business. What Birch wants to determine is how can we create a revenue stream from this and stop the bleeding and make money instead of continually lose money. And so, with that, I'm going to pass it back to Sam to explain replication after the seminar, what that looks like.
So, one of the other issues that we found was during our research. We first contacted most of the previous attendees who went and replicated the program to find out what went well at the seminar and what they thought they could use in the future. And overall, the general answer was a follow-up from Birch. Now, Birch has been really good about answering questions, and any questions that replicators might have, they can call. But however, the attendees felt that they were bothering Birch, and this might be better done by follow-up from Birch to begin with. So a couple of questions that we sought to answer were, is this seminar a viable revenue stream? And if not, how can we make it so? And the last question is, who's the customer for the replication seminar? And next, we're going to talk about our suggestions.
Thank you, Sam. In looking at these 3 problems, we got together to come up with a solution that would give Birch an entire new approach to replication. The first of these is an awareness campaign. The awareness campaign not only allows for a future building a customer profile, but it also solves the problem of marketing. The awareness campaign consists of 3 main parts. The first of these parts is we are recommending that Birch create a video. This would allow them to post on social media, post on their website, as well as bring with them when they travel, so that so that people can look and get a visual representation of who Birch is. They can see this story, they can share it with their family members, and they can bring attention to the Birch story. The second of these is a brochure. This would be a tangible piece of paper, folder, however they choose, and they would be able to take this to 3 main spots. They can take it again with them when they speak. They can also leave it in their warehouse. And finally, they can leave it at central community points, such as a chamber of commerce, local elementary schools, or even a public library where people can see this flyer and take it with them. The last and most important piece we feel of this awareness campaign, is, we're going the wrong direction. There we go. The last and most important piece of this is going to be speaking engagements. We are recommending that Birch travel and share their story. Currently, Birch's impact, their main focus of their impact is here, which is that small little circle up in Multnomah. We are recommending that within the first year of this awareness campaign, Birch traveled to 12 different cities across Western Oregon, and they speak at 12 different events and share their story. Each additional year after that, and for 5 years, we are recommending that they travel to 6 cities, speak at 6 different events. If they follow our recommendations, we are projecting that their impact will go from here to here. The purpose of speaking at events is so that they can take their story and share it personally. Up until this point, their most powerful tool has been word of mouth, and we recognize that, and we feel that it's so important that they take their story, travel, and share it with as many people as possible. You all may be thinking, what is this going to cost? We are recommending a startup budget of $3,500, allocating $1,500 of that to traveling and speaking in the first year, and $2,000 of that to the creation and development of the video and the brochure. To talk about our second recommendation, Sam.
Thank you. So for our second recommendation, we're recommending a restructuring of the seminar. The purpose of which will be to reallocate the current time and financial resources in a way that helps them to stop that bleeding, as before mentioned. Now, this new program will consist of a 3-hour-long seminar that will be primarily informational. This will help current attendees to get an idea of what the program is, and to decide in the long run whether this is a program that they want to replicate in the future, whether they want to pursue it. And here at this new seminar, they will get the chance to get a hands-on experience to look at what it really is at the warehouse. And next, we'll have Westley talk about our last recommendation.
So the essence of our recommendation, the focal point, is this Birch network. So the first step is to create awareness, share the story, lift up the story, have people be drawn to the story so they can have their communities transformed. The second step is this recreation of the seminar to make it informational. And so in the awareness campaign, we're recommending they speak at Chamber of Commerce or other leaders of the cities. Come to the seminar next, and then join this Birch network. So the purpose of the seminar now, instead of to be a revenue stream, is for them to join this personalized consulting program, where they will get Birch's expertise, hands-on, going to their communities, learning how to replicate the Birch unique model. So that's the first value proposition. The second one is customers, attendees who will want to replicate, they will get Birch's valuable donor connections. So Birch has over 120 donor connections that provide them with millions of pounds of product. So someone replicating in Eugene could get the same connections that Birch has up here in Portland. And the last value proposition would be, instead of this massive behemoth, it would be a new binder that wouldn't be a walkthrough at the seminar, but it would be almost like a homework assignment in between consulting consulting events that they would have with the replicators, and it would be more concise and shrunk down, just a step-by-step homework, essentially. So here, this is just cash flow only, and it's the revenue cost forecast for the next 5 years. So this is our projection if Birch takes on 10 replicators within the first year of 2018. Now, this will begin in August of 2018. 2017, they will do their awareness campaign traveling to 12 cities. As you can see, that's set at 10. In order for them to break even and get their return on investment the first year, they would need 7 consulting relationships. And then thereafter, to break even, they just need 1 consulting relationship. And so the yellow fixed costs on the bottom are just the semi-annual seminar that they would hold. That would be informational. And then this just shows that their net revenue over the next 5 years. And as you can see, the first year, even 2018, they will be exceeding their return on investment, and they'll make $1,500 by having 10 consulting relationships. And every year after, we're projecting if they travel to 6 cities or speaking events, they will have 4 every year after. And it's residual income, which is the important aspect of the Birch network. So total, by 2022, we're projecting that Birch will have a net revenue of $42,000. And here's just a simple walkthrough of Birch's current approach. It's to find the attendees first, have them attend the seminar, and then replicate with no clear expectations on how to do that with just the memory of the seminar and this binder. And our recommendations are to create awareness of their story by traveling engagements and a video and a brochure. Get them to attend this new seminar where they will join a consulting relationship with Birch Community Services. And so the essence of our recommendation is a reallocation of their time and money. Instead of going towards a giant seminar over 21 hours, they put that time and money and effort into the consulting relationship where they'll get more successful replications and where they will actually get a revenue stream from the Birch network. And even several years down the road, maybe 5 to 10 years, they can hold an annual convention where they host all of their replicators for professional development and sharing stories. So again, our final recommendations are an awareness campaign costing $3,500, a new replication seminar, and the creation of the Birch network. So thank you. We appreciate Kathy Moore, our community mentor, so much. She is wise beyond measure. And we thank Madeline, who is an excellent client and so fun to work with. We thank you for what you do. You do an excellent job. And thank you for the Hoff School of Business and judges for being here. We're open for questions.
Thank you. Who's going to start off? Katie? Okay, and then Brock.
Good job, guys. In listening, I think it's clear that approaching other nonprofits who have the infrastructure or the ability to replicate this program would be a key part, or grant writing in order to fund someone to go out and help someone replicate the program. Can you tell me if you looked into that or how that was a part of your analysis?
So to clarify, you're saying go to other nonprofits to travel and do the engagements?
To have, like, for example, maybe approach a United Way who has a staff that could allocate some time into looking at their own resources in their community to start a program like this.
Yeah, that's a great question. So when Birch is going to speak at the Chamber of Commerce or these leadership gatherings, events, we know United Way leaders and people who have those connections will be there. And so the awareness will come at that point when they're sharing their story in the program and the success, where they can partner at that point. They can have networking and partner to figure out how to do this in their communities. And you're exactly right. That's a very good method where that would happen. And so it's at the speaking engagements where they share and get awareness of the success that will occur. Thank you.
Brock?
Yes. What is the mission statement of this company?
The mission statement is to provide companies with financial literacy and redistribute product to the middle working class.
Okay, so did that factor into your marketing plan then?
The So our marketing plan wasn't towards that aim exactly, because that is the standard day-to-day operations of Birch. That's incredibly successful, that we don't need to touch necessarily because they're doing an excellent job. We're looking at who is the customer for replication, and that would be the churches, universities, and food banks. That's what we were guessing, but we're realizing the customer is greater. We just don't know because they don't have awareness.
Okay, great. Two more, sorry. Okay. When you're talking about speaking engagements, you said that they're only in one county right now and you want to spread out to a few more cities. Is that strategic at all? Did you figure out demographics and
Yeah, great question. So I looked at populations that exceeded 20,000, and we got a list of over 36 cities, main cities by population. So in the business plan, we recommended specific cities to go to, and we realized Portland would have several speaking engagements that would be significant that they speak at. So yeah, we've projected that out, and so over 5 years, we are projecting that they'll have 26 consulting relationships after speaking at 36 speaking engagements.
Last question. This one's really easy. How many of those huge binders do you guys print out?
So last year, there was 9 attendees of the seminar, so we printed 9 of these behemoths. And that covered the cost of attendance, which is $100 to $150. So yeah, it's costly. The thing's big.
Jonathan? Or Ken?
It would have been helpful to have maybe some pictures of the current operation, kind of give us an idea of what they're doing. We all have imaginations, but the pictures of the actual place, I think, would be very effective. Also, was there any thought of putting the binder onto a website? Do they have a website currently that explains this is almost like a ministry, right? Would they have a website?
They do have a website. We did discuss putting the binder on a thumb drive or some on the website. The biggest fear that our client had with that is that somehow, instead, where right now I can give it to you tangibly and then it's really difficult for you to redistribute it, the fear is that if I give you a thumb drive, you can email it to all your friends and then they've just lost revenue. So we have discussed that, and there is talk, and there is talk about putting that on the website as in a shopping center, kind of where you can go and download a pamphlet, download that type of thing, in hopes to lessen the redistribution.
Right, but the revenue of $40,000 is really quite small in comparison to the impact of the ministry on 791 people's lives. If you do the math there, it would seem that they could find some type of sponsor to replicate I really like the presentation of what they're doing. And it would be fantastic to see that spread into other communities. So perhaps there might be a foundation that could be approached to fund this, because if you can help hundreds of families in a community. I was involved in a food pantry in California for many years before I moved up here, and I like that $70. I like the volunteer work rather than just handing out, and I like the education. That's critically important. I think what they do is far more important than a revenue stream of $40,000. So anyway, that's my thoughts, is that it should be easy to find financial support to spread that type of a ministry, whether it's a ministry or just a nonprofit without a church affiliation. I think they're doing fantastic work to pull people, to get people self-sufficient, to teach them to give back, etc. Fantastic.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I just want to address another thing, that Birch isn't necessarily looked highly upon in some circles because of the fact that they charge to have their families come, and because of the fact that they don't service people who have food stamps. They serve that middle working class. On average, they have 4 children, and so that's not very popular, I guess I would say, in the circles. So in order to raise fundraising, that would be one of the hurdles, or to gain more interest, that would be one of the hurdles. So it's a new model, and it's in some areas it's a little unpopular, but it's amazing. I agree with you. I think you're absolutely right.
I think a key factor I missed in this presentation is exactly what the target audience is for the seminars themselves. Can you define that for me first, and then I have a follow-up?
Yeah. So that, in a sense, is undefined a little bit because they have done little to no marketing. What the past replicators have been churches, have been food banks, current food banks, and potentially universities. So that's why we changed our approach from who is the customer exactly to let's go to the leaders of the cities where there's a gathering of everyone who really cares about changing their community. And then I believe there could be current organizations there that would replicate, consisting of food banks, churches, or universities. Or maybe they don't know that they are interested in doing this yet. So there's not very much awareness is the issue. And so we know there is a customer, but we can't pinpoint who, the age or anything like that, if that makes sense.
In essence, the reason behind our switching to an awareness campaign is because we felt that it'd be much more effective and much, I guess, greater for our client to have this awareness campaign to see who responds to that down the road. They can build a concise customer profile rather than trying to come up with a loose one now that may or may not work. Does that make sense?
Okay, I think I understand where you're coming from, but what work did you do to try to identify what that, because I think if you had a target in mind, it would have made the rest of this project a lot more focused.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so the target that from the past replicators has been churches, food banks, and maybe universities. We were exploring that, but mainly churches and food banks. So that was the customer, and we know there's representation of those things, at least connections for networking at speaking engagements. And so I know you're saying we didn't have a specific customer to direct it, but our customer was the speaking engagements. We knew that that would develop the customer. And there's a lot of work with the reallocation of time. There's so much work that goes into this current seminar, so we're suggesting they reallocate all that time to developing that more and to developing the network and the new seminar more. So I know, good question. I understand what you're saying.
And to also follow up on that, and in our contact with current replicators, people who have gotten replicated it before, I found that some people who have replicated in the past just saw the model and they loved it. It didn't really matter if they were associated with a bigger organization. They just loved it, and so they went out and started building it themselves.
Okay, we have about 2.5 minutes left. Jonathan?
Thank you. So, love the fashion theme, by the way. What didn't seem to be clear was the context for this. We don't yet know whether this is a Christian organization, whether it has any faith basis to it, and what the ultimate motivation is, as well as what were you trying to achieve, or in what context were you trying to achieve? In other words, what's the point of replicating something without an ultimate aim?
Yeah, great question. They are a Christian organization. They're not, I wouldn't say they're completely outright, but I know the founders very much are Christian. And let's see, your next point was, what's the ultimate aim of the whole thing? So the revenue stream isn't the main focus of Birch. It's something we wanted to look at to see if it was possible and what it would look like. So again, this is just a recommendation if that's what they want to pursue. Their ultimate aim is really what Barry said himself. It's 90% about people and 10% about food. So the ultimate aim is to bring transformation, to get people out of financial slavery in a sense and grant them financial freedom. So that is the ultimate goal. It isn't to get a revenue stream, although they do very well. So we were just wanting to restructure to make this seminar more successful, because we want to see, I want to see this replicated all over. I want to see this known. I want to see people free financially. So there's a huge need, and what they're doing is very important, and I believe it's going to grow, and the market's going to get big for this. It's just a little underdeveloped.
So two quick questions then, okay. given that. Okay. One is, you didn't mention at all grant funding for expansion as a viable means for Christian social entrepreneurs to do something. And also, I couldn't understand why just Oregon, or in fact, why just Western